Oh, Tau fans, Tau fans, Tau fans, Tau fans. Do you know there's a point in life where you just have to acknowledge that it's good to be a Tau fan? Excuse me, real quick. Oh my goodness, that sip of a 56% win rate. I mean, yeah, and let's not downplay this. There was a beautiful Cyclopean man that saw the buffs and said, you know, we're going to hit a point that people are going to work out their shit, and we're going to jump up to a pretty fucking great win rate. And do you know saying great win rate back to back is actually a lot harder than it seems? And you probably just heard that in it. But we just came off of an enormous weekend. You could say it's greater good. That is absolutely right. Now, I want to throw out there, I'm going to be doing something new with the streams and everything else, because I'm going to be doing streams that then go into a recorded video. So, for all the beautiful people that actually show up during our pre-roll and are here and excited before we go into our proper video, I'm going to be doing a new thing. I want you guys to chuck your questions in during the pre-roll. The best question is going to be featured in the video that follows with its own little segment. So for everybody that loves showing up at the start of the stream, getting the hype and excitement and everything else, you, dear viewer, will be able to have thousands of people look at your question and be like, huh, that's a really great guy. I could probably see myself doing him, like in the back room of an Arby's or something. So yeah, that's a new thing that we're going to be doing. Let's get into our stuff for today, where I have brought up a number of lists. It wasn't this one. Let's get rid of that. That was the original thing. We have our meta stats up, but I've also gone and trawled through BCP, and I'm going to be showing you our list. Now, I didn't find one that was 5-0, but I did find plenty that were 4-1. So let's go through and have a look at this weekend, and I can tell you straight off the bat, Montcar and Calyon are the two that apparently everybody is very, very, very excited about. So let's start with Logan. You're on the wrong faction, by the way, buddy. You should be on Space Wolves, but you know, that's neither here nor there. I'm not gonna judge. This is Montcar with and this list I found interesting when I was looking and reviewing it, because a lot of the time when people write lists, you see them run like, you know, rule of 2s and 3s, where if you take like a Riptide, you take 2 of them. If you take a Skyray, you take 2 of them. If you're taking Breacher teams, you take 2 of them, or sometimes 3 of them. It's very rare, especially in Tower list building, where you just go, all right, I'm going to just have the one. So, Bren, we actually found this before, and that's why you'll see, like, nobody on Twitch, even though I've loaded it up. For some reason, Twitch is having a real problem. YouTubers yesterday were finding no problem whatsoever. So, if you join us on YouTube, there won't be any lag there. Thankfully, YouTube is the place where the VODs sit, so it's actually not that laggy, but, or it's not laggy at all. But yeah, I don't know what's going on with Twitch at the moment. It is just having a really, really bad time, and I'm not sure what's happening with it. It seems to be on Twitch's end, but you know, I've got to do some more digging and whatever. Okay, so let's have a look at, we'll zoom this in a bit so everybody can have a good view of the list. So we're running Montcar. We have Shadow Sun leading it up as our Warlord. We have a single Fireblade with double gun drone. We have an Ethereal with Strategic Conqueror. It makes sense. You can leave it in Strat Reserve. You can designate the objective that you want, or you can just start it right on the backfield, because Indirect isn't really present in the metagame at the moment, so there's nothing that's really going to blow it out. You can just have the Ethereal, you know, doing its Strat Conqueror stuff and existing for the entire game, so you got the plus OC. Then you've got the Kroot Trail Shaper with Strike Swiftly. This should surprise nobody. The Strike Swiftly enhancement goes so well on the Kroot Trail Shaper because he's small, he's cheap, and you can also then flex with the Trail Shaper, running a Fast Stalker unit and a Kroot Carnivore unit to redeploy them where you need them to go. It is very, very, very powerful. Now, it's not like it was when the book first came out, where you could redeploy after you found out who went first. That has been removed from the game entirely. So this, but it is still a great tech piece. We've got double Breacher team. I would be interested to see if it's Fireblade and Ethereal that he's running with the Breacher team to have something that's got a 5-up. Feel No Pain, I don't see a world where that is actually a thing. It's probably just a solo breach team going out and doing what it needs to. We also only have one Devilfish. So this is where I kind of look at, would this be an Ethereal with a Breacher team where they're actually keeping them on the backfield for the bodies and whatever, but then I would wonder why you wouldn't just use strikes for it. Probably came down to points left over in the list. If you can take a Breach squad over strikes, you probably do that because you can flex a bit of damage. But one of the Breacher teams either starting in Strat Reserve or walking on the board, and I've done this plenty of times. It is actually a very, very viable way to play. Trail Shaper just doesn't feel good after the timing nerf. If you're spending the points for a Fast Stalker unit, it still feels amazing because you've got 12 bodies that can screen out basically the entirety of No Man's Land. And then you don't have to worry about losing them. You just pick them up, put them down behind a feature or whatever else if you're not having to block scout moves, and you keep that brick around for a lot longer. So it's definitely worse. But bear in mind, don't look at anything in a vacuum. Don't compare it to what it was in the Codex, compare it to what everybody else has got, and at the moment nobody has access to after first turn. But yeah, haven't been taking them much recently either. Yeah, the Fast Stalkers really fell out of favor when we started moving away from the Trail Shape attack. I will say it is still potent, but it's a bit of a points investment because you got 80 points and then you've got the Fast Stalker unit for 85. You can arguably get similar results, though not as widespread on the board, by doing it with a Pathfinder unit. But one of the big things in this detachment specifically, Montcar, it means that people can't block off where you want to move, and you've blocked out all of No Man's Land. There'll be nobody getting on top of you. So I can see the argument for it. And obviously this guy at the Goonhammer 2025 GT went 4-1 with it, so obviously there was something to it. I don't know if it's the rest of the list, but we'll keep reading and we'll see. Kroot Carnivore unit as a 20-man, by the way, 20, folks. We have basically not seen that outside of Kroot Hunting Pack. And that is an interesting choice where 20 Kroot Carnivores, it is a lot of bodies. It is a lot that you can string out between like 3 objectives. And if you save it for the right time, especially if you're pressuring with a high movement Montcar list, I can actually see a world where this 20-man gets its value across the course of the game. And again, they went 4-1, so there's obviously something to it that they were using this to the best of their ability. 2 Kroot Hounds. They don't have a Kroot character, so they're not using these for actions. These, if I had to hazard a guess, were being used to move block their opponents. Then, and this is something that I can say with 100% certainty because we're going to see this in every list that we review, my call on Piranhas was absolutely correct. Piranhas have been in every list that went 4-1. Bear in mind, as I said earlier, there were no 5-0s. But Piranhas are now our best option to pop transports and kill whatever gets out of it. Piranhas are amazing for the points that you invest. And with Montcar, they're even better because you can advance, get where you need to go, even auto-advance 6-1 of them. And as long as you've got anything that can see the target you're shooting at, all 3 Piranhas can get the benefits of guiding, which is really powerful. Really, really powerful. Went for Triptide in this list. So that is another one that I wasn't quite expecting, but obviously did well with it. Riptides, as much as we're looking at them being not especially great for the points cost that they've got, they are still filling a very, very good niche for the Tau Empire, which is a 2-up armor save, T9, 4-up invuln, and being able to put out anemic damage, but damage 4 is still damage 4. So it's not something that we can really discount. Wu-Tang Bear, how you doing? Good to see you, bud. Apparently Twitch is still having issues again today. So if you've got my YouTube, highly recommend going over there. If you're not experiencing any lag, that's great, but just thought I'd let you know because if anybody else jumps into Twitch, then, better to be over on the YouTube side. Then we've got a single Skyray gunship. Smart missile systems. You can see that he's gone for twin smart missiles on basically everybody. So really leaning into the indirect. That'll help you in matchups where you can just chip something off continually. And then finishing up with double stealth suits, not triple, double. and Vespid Stingwings. So, a few things that we can glean from this list. The first is that he hasn't gone over the top on damage. He's actually gone for a lot of board control, which is interesting because Tau Empire doesn't tend to go into board control that heavily, whereas he's done it and gotten a fair amount of results out of it. Also, Kroot Hounds, my boys are back. My boys are back. I fucking love my Kroot Hounds. People that have been watching me as the OGs know that one of my most popular videos when I started out was blocking Imperial Knights or Chaos Knights with 4 little Kroot Hound bodies, and doing the same thing again here. Piranhas are your transport killers or your early vehicle killers. Riptides, you're just getting value on turn over turn over turn. Getting lethal hits on the Riptides is obviously pretty big. Skyray is a guiding unit. So what do we have for guiding units? We have 1, 2, 3. You could argue the Ethereal with a marker drone is in this. Shadow Sun, but she doesn't have marker light. And then maybe a Breacher team. This list is skinny on guiders, but with the changes, as we posited when we first saw them, it seems like you don't need to go over the top on guiders anymore. Obviously, that's a playstyle thing. Not everybody's going to lean into this style of a list, but big congratulations to Logan for going 4-1. Let's go on to our next list, and this is Brandon Valley Girl. Named I Already Missed Sustain 2, running Cao Yon. We have double Fireblade with gun drones. Shadow Sun, again. We have a Cold Star with Cyclic, high output burst cannon, and missile pod with Exemplar of the Cao Yon. We have Dark Strider for the Deep Strike Denial. We have double Breacher teams. Nothing special here. Guardian Gun Drone, as you would expect to see. We have double Devilfish, so both of them are going to be mounted. Then the thing that confused me at first, Star Scythe battle suits with burst cannons. So we now have 3 units dedicated towards taking out infantry. And the commander up here having 2 missile pods is what threw me, because it's not uncommon for people to run a cyclic and a high output burst cannon, especially in detachments where you can get extra AP. This has been something that we've seen when you want a bit of extra volume on that commander, especially with split firing now being a thing. He can do a fair amount of damage, but I expected him to go into burst cannons after that. Went for the missile pods. Obviously, 4 shots, strength 7, AP 1, damage 2 is also nice. It means you can split fire even more splitterer than you would. But yeah, interesting tech piece choice there. Then we've got double Piranha, because of course you do. Then we've got double Riptide, again, ion accelerators, this time going for the twin plasma rifles. Then we have triple Skyray. Skyrays have been such a big winner of the changes. Now, for anybody who's like, well, Skyrays were good before, yes, you're absolutely right. Nothing has changed on that front. They have gotten more efficient, but more importantly, they are a marker light guider that has a platform reroll because of the data sheet. If you target something that flies, you get full rerolls to hit, and then you have twin linked. They are an exceedingly efficient unit to shoot, even when you have to guide them. So Skyrays, in my opinion, have gone up massively in value. I said so as much when I was reviewing our changes. Stealth battle suits, just taking 2 of them again, and then a single unit of Vespid. Vespid, I think, are still in a position where they are a non-negotiable for list building because we need uppy downy to be able to play the game. Yes, we don't have things like containment and whatever else in the new mission pack, but there are still plenty of things that want us to be able to pick up and drop somewhere that no other unit would be able to get towards to be able to get our points. And with some of the guiding changes, and this is another thing, WTC ruled that even if you don't have the for the greater good keyword, you won't get Marker Light and +1 ballistic skill, but you can get other buffs for targeting a spotted unit. Kind of a big deal because it means that stealth suits give Vespid reroll 1s to hit and wound. So that can also be a damaging threat. Let's not forget Vespid have a 2-shot gun, which is what? Strength 5, AP 2, damage 2. Really nasty for Marines and anything that might think, oh yeah, I can just hide behind this wall, and as long as they don't send anything half decent, then I'll get them. But yeah, oh shit, WTC went for the most generous interpretation, 100%, which absolutely means that the stance I took initially has then been stepped on by WTC, and I still stand by being more conservative in what I initially would want to do, because exactly what I want is for something like WTC or GW to go, this is what we think, and then I'll just follow suit with that. What I wouldn't want is to have played a couple of tournaments and then had it end up that I was playing something with the more generous interpretation, and that's not shade at anybody that did. That's just a personal preference. But yeah, it's a really big deal. I'm actually going to be recording a video talking about that and the implications that then has for the army and for everything else. We also haven't heard anything about double guiding with Cao Yon, which is why I think that Cao Yon has been so popular and has been so powerful. I didn't know that. I was with you on No for the Greater Good, no buffs, but I guess I'll be changing my play too. Yeah, as always, talk to your TO. WTC ruling doesn't affect GW ruling. In Australia, we tend to play a lot on the WTC, terrain pack and FAQ and whatever else. So obviously check in with your TO. But if your TO is not sure and doesn't know where to go, you can point them at the WTC FAQ and say they ruled on this very, very quickly. Use that how you will, and it might be that you can actually have that. But yeah, so really interesting list. Not as many like weird tech piece choices as the first one. This is a very, very front to back way of playing Cao Yon. You've got excellent shooting platforms in the double Riptide and the triple Skyray from behind your army. You've got things that can stall like the Piranhas, like the Breacher teams, whatever else. I'm really interested that nobody took Pathfinders. But yeah, Darkstrider for the Deep Strike Denial. This person very obviously was not waiting around for Cao Yon. This is a list that you can very easily push up into your opponent's face, and obviously got some great results out of it. So again, big congratulations to Brandon. Well done on the 4-1. Let's go on to the next list, and the next two that we're going to be looking at are both Montcar lists. So, Be the Whole Problem is the name of this list. Will Davis at War Games Con 15. So we had Commander Farsight. This is, as far as I've seen, the only list that included our Rogue Commander. So Farsight in here, an Enforcer with quad missile pods and strike swiftly, and then Darkstrider for that Deep Strike Denial. We then have double Breacher team, double Devilfish, opting for the Pulse Carbines rather than the indirect. We then have a Fire Knife team. We then have a Sunforge team. So if I had to make a guess, because of the quad missile pods, Farsight with the Sunforges, Enforcer with the Fire Knives, single Ghost Kill, Pathfinder team with Ion Rifles, triple Piranha, because of course you would, because they're fucking amazing, triple Skyray, triple Stealth Suit, and interestingly, no Vespid. This is a list that wants to rush your opponent. Triple Piranha, backed by a Ghost Kill, backed by a Pathfinder team, with a Fire Knife squad and a Sunforge squad with Advance and Shoot, Breacher teams rocketing up the board. This is a very, very aggressive list. What, no Tidewall? I don't know if there's too many people that are as insane as me or Pagan to lean into taking some Tidewalls just to fuck with people's heads. Yeah, this is the only list I think we've seen that doesn't have Vespid, but obviously very, very good. Again, a very, very good front-to-back Tau Army list, but one that really favors a high amount of mobility and aggression in order to get what they want. If your precise strikes fall apart, this one would fall into a death spiral very quickly, but very obviously that only happened in maybe one game, but we don't even know what their games were looking like. It could have just been that the other person had more points, or, card draws got them, or whatever else. But again, a big congratulations to Will for a very, very good, I would call it a standard Montcar list that wants to go aggressive and get in people's face. So then we've got our last list, which is Groundhog Day. Namon Allen playing at the June 21-22, the Rusty Scabbard 40k Grand Tournament. James, thank you for the super chat, buddy. Coffee on me so you can keep this energy once the Templars Codex comes and I can finally advance in charge. Genuinely, and you know what? Thank you. I will have some of my coffee. Just wait, everybody. I'm just going to sip down our 56% win rate. I really hope the sloping came through all that. But thank you very much, James. I really do hope that every codex that comes out is very similar to like Space Wolves and everything else, that they actually give the players some really, really good options, allow them to come out on the table and start swinging. And Black Templars are like not in a good way right now. They down here 45%. When we looked at, okay, why is this just crashed out? Metastats, hello? Yesterday, we were looking at last week's stats, and they were even worse. They were down here where, like, Dark Angels are. So I really do hope Black Templars get some love, and I know Flano would like his Templar tide to come back, but enjoy it while it lasts. I mean, you never know, and I have always said that the meta changing up is always a good thing. Even if my armies suffer a little bit from it, the last thing I want is a stale meta. And the only way that you shake up the meta is by giving different armies their time to shine. And we'll actually see, because not a lot of people think about this when they look at win rate. I'm gonna nerd out for a little bit, everybody, so just stay with me. Sometimes nothing will change with your army, but your win rate will like spike by 4 or 5%. And what people don't track is that there are certain things that make an army completely untenable. So, for example, Death Guard have made it so that melee armies have struggled quite a bit. Like Blood Angels was down in the dumps. Space Wolves, where are they? Like this week, they are down here, 43% in a Death Guard meta. It really, really makes it so that if you don't have a lot of stuff which makes you good into a dominant faction, you just can't play the game. And we saw the same thing at like the start of 10th, a perfect example. This is an extreme example, but Eldari being able to use the old version of Devastating Wounds in the way that they could meant that there were certain army archetypes that just weren't being brought to tournaments, because all it would take is you running into Eldari, they kill your big 20 brick or 10 brick of whatever because the wounds were carrying over, and you would just auto lose. So you had to bring things that could at least not just get like dominated by Eldari immediately. So I really do think that, like, you know, we are going to see win rates fluctuate the more codexes come out. Now we only have left, Black Templars, Salamanders, Drakari, and Votan are the only ones that are left. So I really do think that we're going to see massive shifts in the meta, and Tau might be good right now, but Black Templars coming out, if they're able to swamp us in melee, it might mean that Tau takes a hit. It also might mean that if Black Templars are dominating melee armies and that changes what's being brought, Tau might actually go up, because we have the volume of fire to deal with big Crusader bricks, to deal with whatever else, and we have Kroot bodies that can stand in the road of people trying to charge us. Now, obviously, bad Tau players will have a lot of trouble dealing with that. Spacing is one of the hardest things for Tau to deal with, but good Tau players might find a way to deal with it. I'm really excited to see what actually comes of the new codex releases. But yeah. And hopefully you keep your multi-melter for an extra 20 points. I really, really hope that that's still in. All right, now that I've thrown some shade, let's go back to Groundhog Day. So we have a Fireblade strike swiftly. Now, what does this immediately tell us? It tells us that Fireblade is not starting in a Devilfish, because you cannot use abilities while you're within a transport unless you have a specific line on that ability that says you can use this when disembarking from a transport, or even while within a transport. We see this from like Astra Militarum. They had that a ton. Double Fireblade again, so you've also got Coordinated Exploitation. This is the first instance that I have seen of this enhancement being used, and I am really, really curious how he went with this, and if he would actually take this again or use the points for something else. Then we're not seeing any other characters. It is literally just Fireblades. So we have 4 Breacher teams, no Devilfish, all of them on foot. Triple Ghost Kill with Cyclic Ion Rakers. Makes sense. You want to lean into the lethal hits. Kroot Carnivore Squad, just a 10-man. Boo. We've got Triple Piranha, because of course you will. Fuck, it's hard being a prophet that knows everything. Like, actually just so difficult knowing everything that's going to happen ever. But Triple Piranhas, absolutely great. I'm not going to continue glazing them, but you know why they're good. Triple Skyray, again, amazing. Triple Stealth Battlesuit, and once again, no Vespid. Really, really cool to see Tau being able to get result without having to pay that Vespid tax. I'll probably still keep them in my list, but I would like to try some lists without them. Saving that 65 points and being able to use it on something else could be very, very attractive. So yeah, this is such an interesting list that your breaches aren't doing the like rocket down the board, get out of a transport and do their thing. Instead, you're pressuring people with ghost kills and piranhas, and then just having an insanely good amount of high quality fire behind them, not leaning on any crisis suits, keeping your devilfish bodies to a minimum. No broadsides, no riptides, no hammerheads. This is a very, very skinny list, but this looks mean. If you practice your deployment with this list can put in some absolute goddamn work. Big congratulations to Namon. I would actually say this is probably the most creative list that I've seen. It's hard because this one rocking the 20-man Kroot Carnivore unit, Fast Stalker tech with the redeploys, that's all really, really cool, but we haven't seen a lot of people lean into foot breaches, triple keel, and no Vespid. I really, really like this list. Big congratulations to him. Now, if we go on to meta stats, now obviously the image that I used was probably using like GW stats rather than, the stat check boys. But what we are seeing, Chapter Approved 2025, the start of a new category, Leagues of Votann are actually leading at 57%. Now, if we look at it, we've got 29 players on 170 games that have done that. Thousand Suns really flourishing. 77 players, 418 games. That is insane. Then we've got Imperial Knights really taking a hit. Death Guard being knocked off the top. Then we've got Necrons in the top 5 with 72 players playing 396 games. What we do have, though, is Tau Empire at 52%. Now, when we look at our breakdown of our faction, we have Kalyon at 62%, which is more than like any other faction. So Kalyon doing incredibly well with 11 players playing 65 games. Montcar at 56% win rate, still above the bracket that GW wants us to be in. So that is still really, really good. Oxcat at 45% on the lower side of where GW wants us to be, but still within that threshold for tolerance. Kroot Hunting Pack dropping to 43% is very interesting, but there are only 4 players playing it, which tells me that they're not suffering from being bad. They are suffering from a lack of players wanting to play it. Same thing with Oxcad, only 2 players. 2 players played 6 games in this data set, whereas you've got 18 for Montcar and you've got 11 for Kalyon. Retaliation Carter had 9 people and Experimental Carter had 11 with 53 games. Once again, Experimental Prototype Carter dragging the rest of Tau down with them. I think Experimental Carter really, really highlights what John was saying in my interview with him where we were talking about some of the changes. Tau's biggest problem at the moment, and I'm going to make a video saying, GW, you've done great, now keep it going for the changes that I want to see coming afterwards. Experimental Prototype Carter really highlights our problem with CP gen or CP manipulation. It can't be understated that Experimental Prototype Carter is great if you've got the CP to use the strats. If you don't, you're not drawing enough power out of your detachment rule and out of your data sheets to make it work. Whereas we look at something like Montcar Kalyon, why are they flourishing right now? Sustained hits and lethal hits and advance. That is pure and simple. And also Kalyon, for everybody that was claiming that Kalyon was fucking dead and was crying and whatever else, and not to mention more than a couple of unkind words as to my character, Kalyon is absolutely fine because look at all the things that are at the top of the meta. Look at the number of modifiers to weapon skill, ballistic skill, as well as hit modifiers that they are able to pull out. Kalyon can ignore them. So, very obviously, that faction is using the tools they need to be able to get a win, and don't really need to rely on CP. They have a baseline of power that they can sit on. So, Experimental Prototype Carter, if you've got the CP, is great. If you don't have the CP, it doesn't matter that you could heal your suits. It doesn't matter that you could loan up 18. If you don't have the CP for it, you're just fucked. So I can absolutely see why people will lean into Kalyon and Montcar. I am going to make a prediction, though. I think as we see the meta start evolving, I do expect Oxcad to improve its win rate. It's something that as soon as I'm back in tournaments, been a little bit away because of my son, but once I'm back into it, Oxcad is the first place I'm looking at. And I do expect that the win rates will stabilize, especially for Oxcad and Kroot Hunting Pack. I don't expect Kalyon and Montcar to move all that much. They might go down maybe a little bit, but I think that both of them are solid, especially with the army rule changes. I think all of the detachments, actually, we're going to see probably a little bit of a bump up as people find their feet with them. Because don't forget, in the last 2 weeks, people have been experimenting with lists, getting practice games in and trying to find what works for them and then translate that into their games. Nobody is going to know exactly what to run immediately off the bat and make results with it. We see the same thing with every other codex, every other army. As they get their changes, you have to go through discovery. And so the win rates we're seeing now, I don't even think are fully representative. This is 1 week's data, but obviously people have found their feet with a particular combo, and that's like Sky Rays, that's Breaches, that's, Kroot Carnivores for the sticky, whatever else. I think that we're going to see people stabilize, find their footing, and have the win rates maybe come a little bit more like in line with each other. But what I will say is that for a faction's internal balance, this isn't too bad. Obviously, Kalyon is too dominant, but in terms of the other ones, they're within 14% of the top and bottom. That's not too bad. Other armies have it way, way worse than that. So I'm interested to see how it turns out. I'll eat my foot if it's wrong, but I do think that we're going to find people working out what they want to do with their lists and then translating that into results. And I do hope that the army rule change keeps innovation going, and we don't just keep using the same 2 versions of a list and that's just all that works. I really do hope that we start seeing some innovation on different styles of tower lists. And I think we will. Tried experimental on Ethereal with strikes and it felt bad. 165 points for a utility unit that does no damage. Has to expose itself in a firing lane and isn't very tough. Yeah. I think that it's the sort of enhancement that you really need to practice. You really need to practice. Everybody saw the 20-man points nerf and bailed out of Kroot Hunting Pack. Probably would do. I still think the Gorilla archetype is very, very strong in it. And once I've got the models together to be able to do that, then I think we're probably going to see some results on that. Which reminds me, only shameless plug for the stream. I want to say a big thank you to all my patrons and my YouTube members who make all my videos possible. If you'd like to join them and join our Discord community and the events that I'm going to be putting on there, including my first run at running digital teams tournaments, head to the link in the description on YouTube or go to patreon.com/Pantheon Studios Australia to get access to the Patreon tiers or YouTube membership tiers, which come with Discord access. The other thing I want to say is you'll see a link down there for R&R Hobbies. They are a sponsor of the stream and they have done a gifting service as a result of people asking for it. If you would like to buy models for me to be able to play, and that includes things like the Rampages, I don't have enough just yet, and you want to see them played in tournaments or featured on stream, you can buy something under the name Pantheon Studios and put the delivery address as 42 Wallaby Way, Sydney, and they will know that it's for me. Obviously, nothing is expected, but I got asked about it a bit, so we have made that available. Thank you to R&R. That's my plugging done. I completely agree. Our army representation jumped nearly 2%, so people learning are still able to use it well is a good sign. Yeah, and we're not seeing monstrous player numbers. Let's get out of Tau Empire here and let's compare them to, one of the others. So we had 55 people with 300 games. We had Leagues of Votan, which is arguably way less popular, was close to us at 29. Thousand Sons had 77 people. Imperial Knights, 70. Death Guard, 107. Necrons, 72. Adeptus Custodes, 63. Chaos Demons, 62. Hell, even Grey Knights was half of ours at 25. So what we're probably seeing, and I said this in yesterday's stream, we're not having meta chasers jump back onto our army, but with this change in win rate, we might actually see that. Meta chasers or seasonal players are actually super important for an army's win rate and then getting more data and representation, because diehards represent a portion of every single faction. But it's when people are diving onto your army that you know that there is something to that faction, and then you start seeing actual changes in their win rate percentages and representation or whatever else. I had a 6-man bomb, Rampages kill a Knight Lancer turn 1 last Friday. Felt pretty good. Rampages fuck so hard, it's ridiculous. And that's why I'm looking at them in Oxcad. Like, running them in KHP for the Invol is really, really good. But I'm testing a list where I'm running 18 Rampages in Auxiliary Carter. You give them 4 rerolls to wound, and that unit can kill, like, anything. Like, fucking anything. It's really fun. Really, really fun. You put advance and charge on that unit and it changes the game for them. Especially out of like, you do a rapid ingress. I've been trialing putting 2 of those 6-mans in strat reserve and using different stealth suits to rapid ingress them for free onto the board. And then advancing and charging them, they get further up the board than they could be safely while also being able to charge. It's really, really good. So that is our week in retrospect. Tau Empire looking really, really good. Obviously, we've got different data sources, but it's pretty universally showing us as above 50%. So yeah, really, really interesting. If you're keen on the new Tau changes and you're not quite sure where to start, you can head to my website, pantheonstudios.com.au, and you can buy coaching with me. All of my Shasso tier or Pantheon tier patrons get coaching with me every single month as part of their package. If you would like to do that, make sure that you book in early as my time fills up very, very quickly. Coaching has been very popular, which I've been very thankful for. So if you would like to get some time with me, then head to any of the links in the description. You can do so. But that is our week in review. Make sure that you have followed my Twitch. I am going to be working out what the fuck is going on there with the lag, because it's not happening on YouTube, which means it's probably not on my end, but I will be doing hobbying streams and little list building streams and everything else. So make sure you follow me on Twitch. Thank you to everybody who has joined us. Let's fucking go, Tau fans. Here is to you, and here is to having an army that is once again in a good win percentage. I'm really, really keen. Any of the people that are in my Discord, please post in, like, you know, armies on parade or whatever else, the list you've been using, the armies you've been using. Make sure you reach out for if you need some help. There's a list help channel that we've got on there where the community can help you out. It is a fucking great time to be a Tau fan. And I, for one, cannot wait to see what happens with us over the next few weeks. But thank you, everybody, and we'll see you in the next one.